Welcome to training for the reporting module within Magellan Wireless Portal. As you see in front of you, the initial login screen for the Magellan Wireless Portal requests your user ID and your password. This would have been supplied to you in an email. Simply enter your name, password, click Login. That will take you to the screen that presents the available applications according to your security policy. Today we're going to cover reporting. So mouse over the reporting button, select it by clicking on it. This will launch the reporting application. The first thing you'll see is the dashboard. The dashboard is a library of information related to the use and statistics and cost around voice, data, and text with the wireless devices that you are responsible for. If you are an admin, you will see all devices for the company. If you are a manager, you will see only those devices that you have a responsibility for. At the top of each screen is a selection of filters. They vary based on which report you're looking at. And then on the left-hand side of the screen, you will see the menu selections and options for the reporting application. Quickly for the dashboard, it contains many different and totals. On the left-hand side, we're looking at the different breakout of wireless devices. As you can see, it's always current month over previous month, so you can see a trend between the 2 months or a change in a metric or a statistic between those 2 months. And on the left-hand side, we see the voice only, voice and data lines, and data only lines are broken out to show the total number of lines available for this client. Below that, we break out data, smart devices like iPhone, Android, also data cards, telemetry units, and GPS units. Then below that, we have ERPM is an acronym that reflects your effective rate per minute, ERK effective rate per kilobyte. We also have rate per text. At the bottom of that column are lost and gain units, and we'll cover that in just a moment. In the center, you're looking at the cost of voice usage, whether it's international usage, domestic, if it's overage. So all components surrounding expense. We also have feature charges. Below that, we have additional add-on features such as voicemail, basic features, additional minutes, handheld insurance, roadside assistance, and then at the bottom, total for the whole bill for that group of devices. On the right-hand side, we see voice minutes, how many minutes have we used and what type of minutes. We also see, if we the data and text usage and breakout. And then at the bottom, we have those things that fall into a general category such as credits, prorating, equipment, and other taxes and fees that rounds out the total expense and usage for those devices. Now at the top of the screen, you will see our two options for this report. We can choose the month and year of the report we want to view, up to 13 months of historic presentation, and we can pick the carrier we want to filter on. So we can select just looking at units from AT&T or from Sprint and how that might affect this report. So if I were to pick Verizon here, then it's going to show me those units that are from Verizon or have Verizon as the carrier. That's a dashboard. Now we're going to move on down the list of menu items and show you each one of those. So the next one would be top 10. The top 10 is simply that, the top 10 of any particular category of items. In this case, we're looking at the top 10 anytime peak minutes that are being used. So the most minutes used by a person would be at the top. Second largest number of minutes used would be second. You can change how many records are in a view by simply typing in 20 or 25 or 50 to change it from the top 10 to the top whatever number you put in this field. You can also look at other top 10 reports. We can look at off-peak minutes, mobile-to-mobile minutes, roaming minutes would be international, total minutes, the sum of kilobytes, which is how many kilobytes have we used in this period of time by device, voice overage, data overage, and then we can go total cost. What's my most expensive user in this category or in this report? Um, Below that, you can see the other filters I have. I can filter again by carrier, by account within that carrier, and also by cost code. And you'll see now that I can also export this to an Excel spreadsheet. That is top 10. Lost gain. Lost gain is exactly what it sounds like. It's how many phones did we deactivate or did we lose? How many phones do we activate or gain? So each month we track these, and as you can see at the bottom of the screen, by carrier we show how many phones you activated and how many you deactivated. Again, which gives you a net result at the bottom of each column. Above that are displayed the individual lines that have been deactivated or activated by the loss gain flag, whether they were a deactivation or an activation of that. We can search by name within this report. We can export to Excel, and then we have our normal filters at the very top. Again, you can select a different month, carrier, account within that carrier, and cost code. That's a loss gain report. Subs plans and total cost. Subs plans and total cost really does the cost of that device. And the cost of that device as it relates to many different buckets or columns of expense. The sum of total is the total cost for that device. Again, I can click on any header within this report and it will sort the information within that column in a descending order. So in this case, I clicked on sum of total or the total cost for that device, and I can see my most expensive user for this period of time came in at about $2,021. I can also filter by month, carrier, account within that carrier, and cost code. At the bottom of the screen, I show the summary information by carrier of each of the expense areas with a total line below that. At the top, you can see a graph tab, which we haven't seen before. Now, this graph tab does represent and breaks out the total cost for these devices into different buckets. This is average voice access, or what does it cost to have a voice plan. This is the data plan column. And if you mouse over, a bubble pop up showing the total amount of dollars within that column. We can see smaller totals in text, other features, data usage, text usage, data downloads, equipment cost, and then there's the total cost column. If you want to see more of the information on this, of each of these items, you would simply scroll to the right and you will see that the columns continue to go out to the right for different areas of expense. Here's one for data use charge. Here's one for equipment, service credits, data downloads. So many different columns showing expense within this report. The only information that's not included in this report would be the international voice summary, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The next menu item is subs plans and total year-to-date costs. This is the previous report we just looked at, only it contains the summary year-to-date information in each of the columns. So it totals up however many months of data we've collected and puts it into that column so that you can see this user this year so far year to date 3551. If I were to click on the little plus sign anywhere in this application, it will expand that information. It highlights it yellow, and then below it shows that there's 2 months worth of data for that number, March and February of 2010. It's a variety, and it shows how much that device costs during each of those billing periods. I can filter by cost code if I want. I can also export to Excel if I need to. This is a great report for budgeting purposes. Voice report. Voice report, um, also the text plans in use, BlackBerry PDAs, and data cards are all similar reports in that they focus on a subset of data from the subs plans and total costs. So subs plans and total costs reflects the overall cost of that device, while a voice report only looks at the details of the voice component of the cost related to that device. Same with the text plans, the BlackBerry or PDAs, what we call a smart device, and data cards. I've clicked on voice report. You can see our normal filters at the top. You can search by name. You can also search by a phone number. You can see we added another tab up at the top. We have trending and we have graphs. So in the body, the name and the device number, and then all the expenses related to this voice call. You can scroll out to the right to see more of those, how many minutes were used, what kind of minutes were used. At the top, we can click on graph, and the graph will show us the average cost for voice by each carrier that's represented in the data. If I were to click on one of the shapes, then the breakout of those expenses to the right in a bar chart. I can do the same thing for the other side of the bar chart. I can also see what my trend is over time. If I want to see my trend in the area of expense, I click on trending. It will show me up to 3 columns trend over time. Right now I have 2 months of data in this demo system, so you will only see 2 months trending. Again, if you mouse over, a bubble will pop up and show you the total amount of money that represents. That is the voice report. We will not cover text plans, BlackBerry, and data cards as they are exactly like the voice report, only they're addressing and focusing on the expense area identified in the menu title. We're going to move to other data plans. Other data plans are exactly that. Anything outside of our primary data plan would be an other data. Here's the top one, for example, is a telenav or nav plan. We also have one public IP address. There are applications that require that mobile device to have a public static IP address, and so this is a plan that allows you to have that. And then to the right of that, we charge for that particular item. Again, at the bottom, we have summary information by carrier. At the top, we have the normal filters we've seen before, the ability to export to Excel, and the ability to search by name. We also have another graph presentation of this information. And again, you can click on the pie shape and right, you will see the dollar amounts that represents as it's broken out into the 5 different expense columns. Data plan charge, use charge, international data charge, prorating, and data discount. If I click on trend, again, I can see a trend of months in this graph. Again, there's only 2 months worth of demo system, so that's all you will see. Now we're going to look at downloads and entertainment. Downloads and entertainment are specifically addressing game downloads, ringtones, horoscopes, they are not related to the business. We can see the cost of each one. And by clicking on the header column again, I'm sorting it in descending order. If I were to click that again, it would sort it in ascending order. So I'm going back to descending order so I can see the most expensive user of downloads. At the top, I see that I've got my normal filters, export to Excel, search by name. I have the summary at the bottom by carrier. I also have the graphical presentation of this information, and then also trending reports of this type of activity. What is my company realizing over time in an expense for downloads and entertainment? I have international voice summary next. International voice summary, all devices and those expenses related to those devices when somebody travels outside of the United States. International roaming charges, international long distance charges, minutes used while roaming, also roaming long distance and international long distance. We can see the device number, the name, and the account number associated with that. At the bottom, we can also see the totals by carrier. We have the typical filters at the top again, search and export, We've got graph presentation of this information, so we can see that if I click on that pie again, I will see that the international charge is $14.95, but the roaming charge is $285.49. Trending, again, see what the trend is over time for this sort of usage. One of the final reports will be zero use report. Zero use report really looks at how many months there have been no use so that we can identify a phone that may be something that needs to be turned off. Maybe it doesn't need to exist in our company any longer because it's not being used. This is a good report for that. It is not a report to totally make a decision on terminating a device. However, it is a good reflection of a device that needs to be looked at a little closer. We can look at voice zero use. We can look at data zero use. We can filter codes. You'll notice at the bottom right, there is a element here, a control. You can select how many results per page you want to see. We allow you to visibly display 5, 10, 25, 50, or 100 records at a time on a page. The default is 10, so that's why you're seeing 10 records on the screen at this time. Next, we are going to look at details. Feature details, things like push to talk, international. Now we're looking at feature details. Feature details are typically things such as a talk, as these packages are for a device. It's a 10, in this case, it's a $10 add-on. You can see the names and the phone numbers of those people that would use push to talk in this case. At the bottom, we can see the total amount by carrier. So we can see our standard charges by Sprint or Verizon actual, and if there's any discount, and what the net effect of that is to my company. At the top, typical filters, export to Excel, search by name, and then I have a graph presentation of this information. At the bottom is year-to-date per device, which is really all around budgeting. It's how much have I spent each month for that device as a total. So I'm going back to my monthly dashboard. So in conclusion, we reviewed today the reporting module of Magellan Wireless Portal, and you will find it, I believe, to be very intuitive. There's a lot of great information, allows you to do research and understand what's happening within your area of responsibility. Again, if you're an admin, you will see the whole company of data, and if you're a manager, you will only see those devices that roll up to your area of responsibility. So thank you very much for attending the training today, and check back later for more training videos.